Alright guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to go over something that I think's really useful and you should all be using it inside of, your trading arsenal, okay? And that is relative strength, okay? Now you might have heard of this before, but I wouldn't say all people use it as effectively as they could be. And this is one of the key ways that I use it, and I think it's really good at spotting weak markets and markets that you should potentially not trade. Okay, so the way that we look at relative strength is, so let's take Bitcoin for example. Okay, so we have Bitcoin here, yep, just above the 20 MA here, and we're slowly coming down. Okay, so we understand where price is. So let's write this down. So price is at the 20 MA on the weekly. Okay, so price is at the 20 MA on the weekly time frame. Yeah, we're all happy with that. We can all see where it is in a relatively bearish trend. Now, if we go to something like ZEC, for example, look where we are. Okay, so we've had bearish trend, break back above the 20 MA in clean, clear volume, not wiki, and now it's forming a base. Okay, so now we're in base 1. So the theory behind relative strength is that if Bitcoin now, because as we know, if Bitcoin goes up, everything else generally goes up. The same with S&P 500 and the stocks. Okay, so if Bitcoin now pushes above this 20 MA, and it has a push to about 80k, this is gonna go fucking absolutely berserk. Okay, this is gonna have expand out of this base 1 and potentially start a new base cycle. Okay, so with relative strength you can avoid markets that do not show any sort of form of strength. Like, let's show you QQQ for example. So look where QQQ is, yeah? Above all the MAs, clear buying coming in. And now let's look at Tesla. Look where Tesla is. Okay, we tried to break above the 20 MA, we failed, broke back down, and if QQQ now drops or pulls back slightly, maybe 5%, 3%, Tesla is most probably going to drop down here, okay, and target this low. So it doesn't matter that Elon Musk owns Tesla and that fucking he's going to be the first trillionaire and they're sending rockets to the moon. There's nobody buying this at the moment. Okay, there's no demand coming in, and that's the truth. That doesn't mean that in the future there won't be demand coming in. There might be, some demand coming in at some point. But at this moment in time and at this current level of data that we can see, there's no demand there. Okay? But if QQQ does something, crazy, for example, and drops down here, just has a huge pullback and it fails to hold any moving average, Tesla, where is it, is going to get absolutely wrecked. Okay, it's going to probably end up down here somewhere. It's going to probably end up at the 270, 280 mark, and that's not because of some crazy news. That's just because of relative strength. So let's look at some stocks that are potentially strong. So I can give you a good example. I know there was. Let's have a look, see what there actually is. Ah, okay. So, if we look, let's go on. If we go replay mode to here, when price was here. Okay, so price is below all the moving averages, yeah? Now, if we go back to that stock, what was it? Was it that? MU. Was it MU? Oh, okay, I think it was this. But look where this is. This has maintained all the moving averages. You know? So, we know that if QQQ does have a move to the top side or, you know, a push, this is going to go absolutely berserk because of the relative strength. And we can see it did, because it was extremely strong while QQQ was extremely weak. So that is extremely important to, you know, bear in mind when you're picking an asset to trade. What sort of relative strength does it have? And it works with FX as well. So we can go, because if you're an FX trader, you can go Euro USD and GU. Yeah? And you can look at both the charts. So let's go back. So GU, where are we? Let's have a look. So we held the 20 MA here. We didn't close below it. And EU closed below it. Okay? And you can see the strength difference. So, understanding relative strength, you would potentially trade GU, yeah, instead of EU for the minute because of the relative strength. So you would be in the more powerful move that would occur. So you need to be very, very selective with your markets that you pick. And, you know, you can really apply this and it can, you know, change the way you look at markets. Like, you know, people, you might see on Twitter, for example, someone might be, you know, posting about how fucking XRP is going to go to the moon because it's going to be the next fiat currency, but it's going to be tokenized, okay? Let's look at what it's actually doing, right? 10 MA. Yeah? Bitcoin 20 MA. So straight away is extremely weak. Yeah? Now, if Bitcoin decides to break down from here, where is it? XRP holders are not in for a good time. They're going to end up in huge drawdown. So it doesn't matter what news you see, what people are telling you that it's going to be the next fucking AI coin that's going to take over decentralized AI or take over the blockchain. You know, we follow relative strength. And if the relative strength isn't there, then the trade's not valid. Okay? Like I said, I don't care what this does. I don't care what ZEC USD does. I don't care if it fucking cures cancer, okay? It doesn't matter. The only reason I'm interested in it was because of the relative strength it had to Bitcoin. Okay? And Hype's another one. Look at the relative strength when the MAs load. So look at where we are, right? In terms of the weekly MAs. Yeah? We're right in the 5 at the minute. You know? These are still sloping down. They're all sloping up here. So when Bitcoin decides to, you know, have a move, this is just going to, you know, be extremely strong. So using the moving averages to decide what pairs are stronger, you know, is extremely good. Like, I'm going to show you an example. So a friend of mine was just asking, he invests in stocks, and he was just asking about certain stocks and if I think any good. So it was back here, right? He was saying to me, you know, is there any stocks that you like the look of, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I was watching QBTS because I was actually going to trade it, and price was holding the 20 MA, and at the time, QQQ, you know, was just sort of breaking the 20 MA here, where the MAs are sloping down. So in my eyes, somebody is clearly fucking buying this. Now, I don't know who, and I don't care who, but the data is showing me that this is extremely strong, and whoever is accumulating this wants to send this higher, okay? And there's a lot of money coming into it. And I think he bought around, you know, sort of $8-9. And, you know, as we can see, it started expanding crazy. And that was all because of the relative strength, you know? So don't let people fool you into thinking that, you know, or telling you certain things such as, you know, this is gonna take over the world. This crypto coin, it has to take over. You know, it's decentralized AI, or it's fucking privacy. The privacy narrative's back, or you know, this stock's gonna blow because it's the first robotic company that can fucking walk the dog. You know, it doesn't matter. All we care about is price. Okay? So I really hope that helps you out when it comes to looking at markets and analysing markets for yourself.